I am Maria Garcia de Fleury. John of Avila was born on January 6, 1499, in Almodóvar del Campo in the Diocese of Toledo, Spain. As the only child of a very Christian parents and in a very good economic and social position, at the age of 14 he was taken to study law at the University of Salamanca. But he abandoned his studies at the end of the fourth year and decided to dedicate himself to reflecting and prayer. He wanted to be a priest and go as a missionary to the Indies. He was ordained as a priest in 1529. Since his parents had already died, he decided to celebrate his first solemn mass in the parish of his town, and to celebrate the event, he invited 12 poor people to his table. He gave away his immense fortune from the silver mines that the family owned and gave it to those most in need. He went to Sevilla to wait for the moment to embark for Mexico. Meanwhile, he dedicated himself to preaching in the city and nearby towns. The archbishop, enthusiastic about his way of preaching, made him give up his idea of going to America and stay in Andalusia, where it was urgent to consolidate the faith of believers after centuries of Muslim domination. John of Avila remained in Sevilla, sharing a house, poverty, and prayer life with a priest friend he had met at the University of Alcalá named Fernando de Contreras. He preached, gave spiritual direction, and continued his studies in the theology at the school of Santo Tomás de Sevilla. He was imprisoned by the Inquisition for 2 years, accused of preaching suspicious doctrines. There he devoted himself assiduously to prayer, and during this difficult situation, he delved into the mystery of the love of God and the great benefit done to humanity by Jesus Christ, our Redeemer. From then on, this was the axis of his spiritual life and one of the central themes of his evangelizing activity. In 1533, the sentence acquitted him. Upon this relief from prison, he continued preaching with great success before the people and the authorities. But he preferred to go live in Córdoba, and then he settled in Granada, where he also continued his studies and began to appear with the title of teacher. They called him the teacher of Ávila. He lived very poorly, dedicated himself to prayer and preaching, focusing his interest on improving the training of those preparing for the priesthood, for which he founded major and minor colleges, which, after the Council of Trent, would become conciliary seminaries. For the Master of Avila, the reform of the Church, which he considered increasingly necessary, involved the greater holiness of priests, religious, and faithful. He dedicated himself to preaching to simple people. He founded the University of Baeza in Jaén, which for centuries was an outstanding reference for the qualified training of priests. He wrote a catechism on Christian doctrine in verse so children could sing it and evangelize the elderly. The Master of Avila is also the author of the Treaty of Love of God and the Treaty on the Priesthood and other minor writings. Saint Teresa of Jesus, upon listening to the news of the death of Master Juan de Avila on May 10, 1569, said, "I cry because the Church of God has lost a great column." And we can add, because Master San Juan de Avila knew from a young age that with God we always win.